President, my distinguished colleagues, first of all, let me commend Mr. President for the political will he has shown to bring prosperity to this country. Because number one, a leader should have the political will in the first place and to resolve that he intends to turn around things for the betterment of the country. The budget proposal has clearly demonstrated the intention of the government in this regard. That's why the budget is christened Budget of Restoration, Securing Peace, Rebuilding Prosperity. Peace is sine qua non for a sound economy, for a sound and up and doing society. And we all know the problems we are facing in terms of insecurity. Now the government has taken the step to make sure that it deals with the matter in the best manner possible, to frontally deal with this matter. That's why the defense allocation is the highest, running up to 4.91 trillion naira. This shows the will of the government to deal with the problem of insecurity once and for all. To deal with the problem, make sure that there is no banditry, no insurgency, no nothing, so that the environment will be made conducive for a good society to thrive, for a sound economy to thrive. This is welcome, and we commend the President for taking the issue of security seriously. Then, of course, what do you need after you've taken care of insecurity? For a country that creates that environment of peace, what next go? What goes next is, of course, creating the enabling environment for the economy to thrive, for business to thrive, for the private sector to thrive. And how do you do that? By creating the necessary infrastructure, putting the necessary infrastructure in place. Good roads infrastructure, water supply infrastructure, all other infrastructure needed should be put in place. Power, everything. So now when you do that, you allow the real sector, other sectors of the economy to begin to operate, jobs will be created, and revenues will come in to various entities, and of course taxes will be paid, and the government will have more revenues, and those revenues will be channeled towards funding social service and so on and so forth. So you can see the trajectory of the arrangement, security, infrastructure. And then, of course, the next thing, what is very, very important in the contemporary world, it's not about natural resources that you have, but the human capital resources. Human capital is the key, is the number one factor of production, as you speak, in the whole world. And now the government has decided to allocate a big amount of money, 3.5 trillion. 3.52 trillion. So you can see the government is systematic in the way it has designed to deal with our problems. From peace to infrastructure, from infrastructure to human capital. Human capital. So this is something that we need to commend the President for doing, so that our men, our young men and women, young boys, young girls, our children, will now be able to have all those things needed for their education. This is a wonderful arrangement. And of course, the health sector is next. If you want your human capital to be up and doing, you should provide health services delivery, health delivery system, so that they can be taken care of. Otherwise, the human capital you have, human capital you have, will become nothing if they are not given the necessary health support. Mr. President, and again, when you look at other items, other issues that have been taken seriously, like for instance, we've been talking about, we have the petroleum, but the ability to exploit petroleum has become a problem. We can't, before now, we are unable to even meet our OPEC quota. But now the government has determined that look, this should be a thing of the past. We should try create the security needed to make sure that we are able to exploit as much as possible. Now, what has been earmarked to be exploited, is 2.06 million barrels. This is a welcome development, and I'm sure with the will that's been demonstrated by this president, by the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, this will be actualized, and this is very, very good. Otherwise, we have the oil, but we are not exploiting, getting what we need to have. Mr. President, this budget has a lot of goodies that when we all work together and support the executive arm of government, because it's not an issue of an arm of government alone, it's an all-inclusive arrangement. We should all be part of the whole thing. The citizens should also be part of it. For us here, we need to oversight properly. All our relevant committees should work to make sure that when this budget is passed, we keep all those responsible for the implementation of whatever is in this budget on their toes, so that they work in the best manner possible to actualize what is in this budget. This budget is a wonderful arrangement, one of the best budgets ever produced in this country. But now what you need to do after the passage, we should all come around to make sure that we do all that is humanly possible in making sure that it's fully implemented. I'm sure by the time we implement this budget, this country will be turned to a land of El Dorado. El Dorado, land of plenty, land of prosperity. Mr. President, I urge all my colleagues to work around to make sure that we pass this budget without more delay, and also make sure that we stand in a way that we get the whole thing implemented for the good of this country, for the betterment of our people. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Chief Whip.